Hello, everybody. Welcome to Echo Underground. I'm Shanique.
This is Mike.
And on this podcast, we talk about TV shows, movies, and music, and any other interesting topics. Today's episode is going to be about the new movie called Marshall. And this movie is about the spell case that was tried in what, I think 1940 by Thurgood Marshall and Sam Freeman. So, overall, I thought this movie was pretty good. It had stellar acting. It touched on many different things. Obviously racism in the North, because a lot of movies focus on the South, but this one focused on racism in like Connecticut, and also it's focused on the anti-Jewish set of like feelings that people had back then as well. So I like that we saw all those things. I don't know how it's historically accurate is, so no co-signing on how accurate this movie is.
Yeah.
But overall, from I had no problem with the script. The only reason I'm really gonna give it a B plus is because, like I said, it was kind of predictable. Like I wasn't shocked by some of the twists in the movie, but I thought they were well done. That I was okay with it. So yeah, B plus. What about you, Michael?
I like I said. I guess people don't know the story behind this podcast right here, but yeah, I'm gonna give this movie an A, a solid A, because granted, the only reason it's not going to get a perfect like A rating, A plus rating for me is only because nothing blew me out the water, and my tolerance for predictability is pretty high. So I guess I can let it slide, and it's cool to see Black Panther. I mean, excuse me, Chadwick Boseman do his thing on the movie screen again. This time in a definitely different style of movie, which means good job. He's got some range on him, but like he definitely pulled it off really well. I feel like Sam Friedman also pulled it off really well. All the actors pulled it off really well. I mentioned before that all the Southern accents that I heard in the movie were pretty dope because like
Did you
they
mention
weren't
before?
they weren't just as well, you know what I
I'm
mean.
like,
You know what I mean, but they don't. But yeah, the accents were done pretty well, even though like they're in the north, but like the parts where they come up, though, like the Southern Belle sounding females, they were done pretty well. And I do agree with what Shanique said. Like a lot of the racist sentiments in the north aren't really explored in a lot of movies. Like I know it's definitely I'm lying. It's in a lot of movies, but just not as much as it is for like the ones we like care about the southern ones. Because granted, that's obviously where it was the worst. But like I think people choose the easy target of using the south as like the racist antagonist of a movie. That this is actually kind of a breath of fresh air. Plus, it was cool to see that this kind of had, I guess, someone outside of knowing anything about Thurgood Marshall. This actually was kind of I would say a good introduction to who this guy actually was. Like I'm not gonna say like it's yeah, actually no, I will say like I feel like Selma, if maybe you live under a rock and you just don't know who Martin Luther King is, you can get like a good intro to what they're all about and why they're so big in the history books that you clearly never read because I'm assuming you haven't heard of them. But this is definitely like a not necessarily a history lesson, but a good movie as well as something to like use reference to if you decide to go forward with like learning some more. But yeah, that's where I went with this movie.
okay. And so, on your comment, he's done this before, like historical figures. You know that, right?
No, not as far as like him acting as historical figures, Shanique.
Like what? What's different? Him not being a superhero?
Yes, Shanique. That was the obvious joke I was going for.
Nah, didn't land, man. Didn't land.
That's not my problem. That's a Shanique problem.
You didn't use the right tone. You know what? Viewers, did the joke land? Or was I right? Or was I right? Give us
It's the
comments.
it's the same girl who doing. Oh, that's right. I didn't get to talk about the shot glass thing. Now we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, first off, okay. That's another thing. This is a tangent, but If any of our viewers, because I didn't mention this, but we do have Twitter as well, Echo U Podcast. Tweet at us some shot glasses. Like, I don't care if it's from your house, I don't care like Google, but like tweet at us like shot glasses that you actually use. Cause Michael thinks that his shot glass is smaller, like there are different sizes. He thinks that all shot glasses come in one size, and I'm telling him they don't.
I'm telling you that they go to a certain size. You're saying that they're damn near mugs at the point where I see them.
No,
Like,
I'm not. Yo,
yes,
such a
you are,
liar.
yo.
No, I'm not. The one
Shanique.
I'm
All
talking
right,
about
New
is nowhere
Year's,
near
New
a
Year's,
mug.
New Year's, New Year's. I'm giving you some big shot glasses now just because you said that.
What? Like, yo.
You'll find out. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of all that.
No,
Moving
no,
on, though.
no,
This is not that.
no,
This is
no,
not
no,
that
no, no,
podcast,
no.
Shanique.
It's about to
This isn't
be
that
because
Shanique.
no, no,
Shanique.
no. You're tweet at us those shot glasses because he's full of shit. I might actually post one on Twitter. Okay, you keep doing that. I will post one on Twitter and see if
Listen,
anyone agreed with
I
me.
don't care. I'll post one too. Listen, definitely
Fine,
like the
bring
one
it.
that you said is a more legitimate shot glass to use, and don't troll us
I
instead of some like some like 2 gallon cup or something like that. Like
hey, then I'll be more right.
be like, oh, I went out for one drink, but the drink is in like a gallon big size cup or something like that. Like, get out of here with that. Don't troll us, guys. We're nice. We're nice to you. Be nice to us. Come on, man.
Anyway, okay, let's get into favorite characters. I'm only gonna name one.
I'm gonna do the
My
same.
favorite character is Sam Friedman. He had, I guess, the most story in a weird way. Like, even though it's called Marshall, it wasn't really about Thurgood Marshall in a weird way, directly
hmm
at least. It was basically like this was the case that led into Thurgood Marshall's famous career. Because he was on a losing streak in the beginning of the movie, and he meets Sam Freeman, and I didn't know anything about him. And according to the like credits of the movie, he ends up fighting civil rights cases in Connecticut after this one. So Thurgood inspired him, and that's really good. He was a Jewish man, and he was going through his own things, and he was just trying to keep a low profile. But he ended up wrapped in this, I guess, controversial case, and it changed his life. And I like the progression of the character as we go through the movie. I like all his scenes with Thurgood. I thought they bounced off each other perfectly fine. I even like the scenes with his family. You saw both of their families, but I like the scene with his family and everything. So yeah, he's my favorite character. And what were you about to say? Because I heard you about to say something.
Yeah, my bad. I was just saying about the whole low profile thing. It's definitely because this is like right before America had joined the war, I believe. So it's like there are definitely the whole Nazi thing going on abroad. And the wife actually mentioned that, and I was like, yeah, I'd understand why a Jewish guy would want to keep a low profile, even though America still had their opinions on Jews back then. But I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay. Who's your favorite character?
Same. I have Sam as my favorite character, mostly because he had the most character development in the story. And I know I was gonna say one, but I'm gonna just throw him in there for like only a couple of seconds. But definitely Joseph Spell as well, because his character development. Granted, this was definitely part of the reason the movie was predictable, because it's definitely it's definitely like a procedural like law movie, but it came off like very investigative, like throughout the middle areas of the movie, which is kind of what prompted him to change his mind and like show some of the fear that was in black people's hearts about why they couldn't tell the truth in court. But yeah, I'll get to those two characters because like they actually had the most change. They started as something and ended differently. Like I don't really think
What?
Mark. Go ahead.
How did Joseph change? That's what I don't get. What
Well,
changed about Joseph?
well, he ballsed up and told the truth. Because like after talking to Marshall, he was like, "Listen, man, you gotta like after he told him that story about his grandfather being a slave and all that, he said your grandfather fought for his freedom by running away, like escaping all these dogs and people hunting him down, and he didn't give up. You're giving up right now by lying and and giving up your freedom all because you're scared of them, which is very true, which is very right in his respect. Like, yeah, what happens to people who tell the truth about being a black guy sleeping with a white woman. So I completely got that. But like that's where his change also came in because he was like, you know what? I am scared. if I don't win this case, I'm probably gonna die before I get to jail. Or if I get to jail and be with some white guys in there, it's not gonna be a good time for me. I mean, I completely get that. And that's where I'm kind of cool with his change. Granted, that was the exact predictability of the story. Like, when we figured out that there was a lot of lies going on in this case, and one of the biggest lies was his, we realized, all right, well, if you want to go further with this, you either got to balls up or like take that ass whooping in jail like you think you're gonna get, because it's generally gonna end the same way if you lose, but you may as well tell the truth and go down that way. And that's where I saw his change come in. And Sam's change came in because like obviously he went from being whoa lady, but yeah, obviously his change came from him going from being an insurance broker to being actual member of Fight for Civil Rights. I don't know if it was. I think it was for the NAACP, right, Shanique?
Sam? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay. Maybe it wasn't for the NAACP, but he definitely started to, like Shanique said, fight for different things in courts other than like insurance claims or whatever it was. But yeah, those are my two favorite characters right there. I'm not still gonna say one. I lied. I do that sometimes.
Sometimes. Anyway. Um
Shady as hell.
I didn't shade you. I just told the
Wasn't
truth and
even
you didn't like it.
wasn't even talking
Anyway.
to you. Wasn't even talking to you. You had not been addressed. I was talking to my audience over here.
But I asked the question, so you had to be talking to me. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, moving on to next topic.
Yeah, you better
Favorite.
run.
I'm not. Where am I running? We on Skype. This thing can't see me. Like, what the hell is? What are you talking about? Anyway,
When,
favorite scene for me is Joseph's confession
hmm
about him lying about um I can't remember her name. Kate Hudson's character being in the car. We admitted he lied about that, and when he had to take the stand and he told the truth, and it was such a well acted scene. That is the best scene, and that's the best acting moment for me in the movie. Like, Joseph was getting on my nerves. I was like, Nick, why you lying all the time? And I get his fear. Like, trust me, I get it. I didn't live back then, but you read stories like Emmett Till and other horrible stories, and you know why people don't tell the truth. But
hmm
still, my thing is, he was making things a lot worse. Because once the statement with the cop came out,
Right.
he should have known automatically he had to tell the truth. But they waited till last minute, and I mean that's a part of the movie. That's about building drama.
hmm
But when he finally broke and told the truth, I thought that was really well written. And it was I knew they won the case the moment. Because even the lawyer was like the prosecutor was like, can we have that like not put on the record so they can't use it? But
hmm
the judge came through was like, no, you can use it. So what about you? What's your favorite scene?
Oh boy, you might have stolen thunder out of this one, but I'm gonna try to pick my next favorite scene because that was definitely my favorite scene right there. I think Joseph, and you mentioned the judge actually. He's another character who actually had like a slight, ever so slightly, because mostly because I don't know too much historically about the judge, but ever so slightly a bit of character development as well. Because like he definitely started as a dick, but like ended up, probably because like the case started becoming so convincing. Like sure, he's an asshole, but technically he was fair after the fact that he said, Marshall couldn't be the lawyer in this case. Everything here, that was just him being stern and doing things his way, but not necessarily leading towards one answer or the other. Like he actually, processed the information that was given to him in a very fair way. But as far as my favorite scene, hmm, I kind of want to say now that you took my number one scene, I kind of want to say all of the flashback scenes only because like you can actually see things like that like outside of reference since they're not the actual first point of reference that everyone's talking about. Cause like those are actually pretty cool. And those I think the other ways around like 'cause I know there's like two storylines going on in these flashbacks. One where he's murdering this woman, quote unquote, by throwing her into water instead of on some jagged rocks. Bunch of dummies. And then there's the one where he's actually being honest. I like it not necessarily because of like oh, the acting in this scene was like that good, but because of how much context it added to the movie when you and the audience is looking at it, you're like, oh, there's the answer. This is the part of the movie where like the plot twist, and you realize this guy's lie was like, sure, he said he didn't rape her, but he also didn't say that he didn't like make love to her that night or nothing like that. I know I'm being real PG with my wording here, but like, yeah, like you know that kind of information would have been handy. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's my thing. Now, you mentioned that. Now, criminals are dumb, though. So, for me, him not throwing her on the jagged edge wasn't like the biggest thing. For me, that's like, did it wrong because, like, you hear cases where, like, oh, they thought they could just do this and then they'll get away with it. You even see, what was it? Isn't there like a segment on some news channels like Dumbest Criminals? And
Oh
you
yeah,
see people
definitely.
who like rob stuff and look directly in the camera and then walk out and think they're not gonna get caught.
Hmm.
You see people like, wasn't there one where like someone like signed their name to something and then robbed the place? Like you see stupid stuff like that. So that's not the part that threw me off. The part that like made it dumb was the rocks. That's what like made no
and
sense.
and and also the gag.
Yes, the gag made her look bad, but she could have still maybe got away with it by going with the fear thing because she was still convincing as like a victim compared to how
But
he looked. He looked like he didn't look what's the right word? I don't want to say not like first of all, I'll get into how they drew him. They drew him as a gorilla. Like that was so weird. I'm like that is not accurate.
oh yeah, on the signs, right?
Yeah, I'm like, first of all, if I'm like, let's say they didn't catch him, would they drew him as that? I'm like, so there's a giant ape kidnapping women here? Like, that was so stupid. But I know why they do
Essentially.
it. That's how they drew. That's how they depicted black people back then. So I get it, I get it. But I just thought that was really fucking dumb as hell. I'm like, no. But what made the case weak was one, the rocks. And then the thing with the gag, I think her mistake was saying she couldn't scream because the gag was forcing her not to scream.
That, and you didn't have to. You just kick. You can just literally kick for your life on the door, because
No,
you're in the
but
backseat of the car laying down.
no. That's not even. That wouldn't even be it. Her saying that she couldn't scream because of the gag is different because
I know. I see what you're saying. Like she didn't bring that up, but like, yeah, I'm just saying like no one even talked about it, but like that's also one of the options.
no,
Like
I
if
know,
I'm gonna,
but like her argument could be that she's so
hmm
scared and shocked, so she can get away with that. But she literally says she tried to scream and couldn't. That's
hmm
what screwed her up.
right. That's what you're
Cause
saying.
she like her not like cause people do that all the time. Like sometimes kids would do that sometimes too, where like unfortunately if someone try to grab them, they won't try to fight back, but they are in danger, or they won't scream out even though they are like things like that. So her not like kicking the door or something like that, but her saying, "Oh, I couldn't scream because the gag was so tight," and then proving that she could shows that she didn't really try. So that was like the rocks and that gag was probably the first like, something ain't right here, lady. But again, she looks respectable and he looks great. He was doing this
Well, see,
weird like crazy eye thing in the court a little bit, but I think that's supposed to be I'm scared type look.
yeah,
But it
just
was
about to say
like
that.
his wide eye look made him look a little bit on the gray side. Not like a
I
monster, but just like crazy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like he didn't have an innocent face on. That's my thing. Like if I like I get the fear, but like my thing is, regardless of how incriminating things might be or how weird racial tensions might be, if I know I'm innocent, I'm putting my best face on. Like, nah, nigga, I ain't do it. I ain't gonna say that. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, because I ain't gonna say that in court and get held in contempt. but but me, let you know right now, I couldn't put his face on because that's not a convincing face for someone who's not in trouble.
No, he looked worried
Like
the whole
yeah, I
time.
mean, yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know. I guess poker faces didn't exist back then. I don't know, but like he clearly did not have one because he was showing all his cards through his face. Because like he's scared for one reason, but people are looking at it from the outside like he's scared because he's guilty. And to be honest, if outside of all the context of the court, if I'm just like if I'm just like in a random court and I don't know what's going on, and I just walked in, I'll be like, he did it. Sorry, he got something to hide. But yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
mean, I get it though. It was definitely fair running through his system, so I can't like joke too much about it. But yeah, that's definitely what was going on with him. He was having a long day.
yeah. He looked crazy eyed. So even though she looked a little sus with her story,
Hmm.
he looked worse still.
Yeah.
So that's why, had he, like I said, he saved his own life with his testimony.
Hmm.
Had he not spoken up, or if they were able to twist his testimony and make it look like he was garbage, like they tried to do with the closing statement,
Hmm.
he'd be in jail, son. Even though
One thing I
what? Go for it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying one thing I will say though is that I'm glad that they definitely used what I'm assuming is a very competent lawyer at the time in Willis, the actual prosecutor, because he's technically good competition for Thurgood. Mostly because like all the evidence went on the table at first, but like his confidence in court prior to the very last bit of the proceedings, he had like he's pretty much white Thurgood to me because he had that much confidence. Like Thurgood's confidence in this movie cannot be under can't be underestimated because like even Langston Hughes who talked to him saying, yo, you got enough confidence for all of us. You might have seen that part in the trailer. This guy is literally the poster child for no fucks given. Like you black people can go to jail and I'm gonna make it easy. Especially now that you got a Jew and a black guy. Like I think his confidence came from a place of like, you're going up against a minority. Like going up against a Jew and a black guy, so like you feel, big headed. Well, their confidence is coming from the fact that they're kind of fighting an uphill battle and like they have, obviously Thurgood. But yeah, it was interesting because I hated him to say the least. But I did like seeing him get shook throughout the movie. Cause like you said, he right, you didn't say it because it's not the podcast we did it on. But
Yes, it
he
is.
he he started backpedaling on the plea deal that he was trying to offer up to Joseph through Sam, and I could tell he was nervous because like he had no reason to ever approach Sam ever in the movie yet until this happened. Hell, him and Sam, well, mostly, I'm sorry, Thurgood and Sam, but I won't say mostly Thurgood. He butts up into his little, what they call it, social club or whatever it is. I don't know. He butts up in there because they had something at the time. Like they thought they had like all the cards on their table at the time, but like he was not even phased by it. Like he was just there eating his food. Then like to see him change character a little bit, which I guess he technically has some character development as well, even though kind of like it's not really development, but like what's the word for backwards word for sorry the opposite word for of development. Like I don't know, character degradation or something that I don't fucking know, but like he
Is that a real word?
uh,
You mean regression?
degradation, yeah,
You mean regression?
regression. I asked you when you ain't tell me, okay? Y'all heard it. It's on record. I asked, right? Okay.
Okay, but that doesn't fit what happened to him. He just lost. He realized he was gonna lose. It's not any of those
I
things.
no. Yeah. I'm saying yeah. It definitely is because I'm saying he's losing his confidence throughout the movie while Thurgood is gaining his. Because like towards the end, he's like you can definitely see he was not the same kind of guy he was in early in the movie. Like he had no reason to approach them. He's over here eating at his club without even giving a fuck about the case. He thought he had all the cards on the table. He pretty much thought he had it won because he's going against two minorities. So it's like saying, he's big headed in the beginning, but like toward the end, after he made his testimony and started putting things into better context about what happened with the cop, how she couldn't scream, how she was her husband and all that, how it was consensual. I was like, all right, well, after that started happening, you realize it's not the same cocky ass bastard that you saw earlier in the movie. But I don't know. I just found him interesting because if they wanted me to hate the guy, then they did a good job because I do.
Okay, well, I don't know. I feel like he was still cocky, cause like even though he offered the plea deal, well, I think honestly he offered it. He was getting like a little bit like shaky, but he was still like, I'm probably gonna win because he's a Negro and he looked the way
Mhm.
he looked in this movie. Um,
Mhm.
but her husband got a little bit, because her husband's the reason they got the 5 year deal. Because the lawyer said, oh, they want this to go away, so we're gonna offer you this.
Mhm.
So I think the husband kind of knew. I don't know. He probably whooped her ass when they got home. No offense, but that's probably what happened.
That's what got him into this situation in the first place.
Men like that don't learn,
You
though.
was whooping her ass, and that's she gonna yo. She gonna have another court case about getting raped. Yo, old fucking
No,
liar.
first of all, that ain't gonna be here. Yo, okay. This you shouldn't laugh, but I'm gonna ask the question. The way that dog scared the shit out of her, that she came up with this whole plan about faking a rape, and then she tried to kill herself. And you know she didn't really want to die because
Mhm.
she jumped on the wrong side of the
Yeah,
reservoir.
yeah,
She
yeah.
wasn't really about that life. She was not. She like, can't have no black babies. I'm like, dang. And that means she probably haven't been with her husband in a while.
I'd assume so, right? Yeah.
But no offense to her husband, I wouldn't want to mess with that. He looked like he gonna kill her. He looked scary.
He has the male version of resting bitch face. Like he just looks mad all the time.
I
Like, yo,
think
can y'all?
he didn't look like he loved her at all. Like I was like when they walked in the courtroom, I really thought that was like her chauffeur or something. I did not know that was
Mhm.
her man because he was
Mhm.
stoned. He was very stoic and pissed off. I'm like, if you really believe your woman got raped, which part of me believes that he didn't because they were offering a plea deal before this trial
Right.
really got bad. So
The
part of
20
me
year deal.
believed that they rather have him convicted than let everyone know that he got cheated on with a black man. That's
Mhm.
what I really think that was. Because he never had a look of surprise, just anger. Straight up
Right.
anger.
Right.
It was whoever got this part had the easiest role in the movie. Look
I don't think he
pissed.
said a single word. Right.
No, he didn't. He just sat there
Just
mean
mugging the
bugging the
whole
whole.
time. The whole time.
Exactly. It was crazy. But anyway, yeah, that fear though. Like I said, I don't live in those times. So, and I'm also not a white woman. So I don't get it. And I'm not married to that mean ass person. So
Well,
I don't
and
get the fear.
yeah.
I don't get
People
that
back then worried
fear.
about social. They worried a lot more about social statuses back then too, instead of like just doing yourself. Because people these days they don't give a fuck what you think. Clearly, but like back then, it mattered a lot. People talk and like these people talking actually might actually end up having some kind of like adverse effect on your career or your family or something like that. So I mean I get that aspect of it, but everything else, nah. I agree with Shanique. Fuck that.
Well, you know what it also is? They used to kill people who would do stuff like that too.
Definitely.
So it's different.
I think
Now,
they
if
still
you,
do actually.
I mean, yeah, but at least it won't be strangers. It will be like your spouse or a family
Mm,
member or something. But this will
right.
be like strangers killing you for living your life.
True.
I guess that's the difference between now and even though in some parts you still got shit like that. But in
hmm
most parts you don't have that. So I think that's also part of her fear. It's like, what if I do have a colored child, as she liked to say? Which colored is such a weird word. But anyway, and what would my husband do to me? What would people do to me? What I would lose
Right.
everything, you know?
Right. Right.
And I was like, man, that's such a leap, but I guess we could also talk about that weird look they shared. Joseph, they actually seemed
Yeah.
to like each other. And that's what's crazy. But she was selfish and scared shitless of her husband. But if I was Joseph, see, Joseph is a nicer person than I would have been. I would have been like, peace out, see ya.
Man, I'd have been flipping all the birds I could, yo. Like, bitch, you really gonna sell me out, yo? I
Hell
was looking
yeah.
out for you.
He was
I
like,
came,
keep
I
going.
came asking for money. I came asking for money, and then you came on to me. I know what that means for me if I came on to you, but you started this, and we did it twice. And you gonna sell me out, yo? Get out of my face. Peace out. I hope your husband beats you one more time for me since I can't put my hands on you.
Yo, what the?
I'm
we
saying what
don't
I'm. I
we
mean,
don't
I know
condone
we don't
domestic
condone. I know.
violence.
Yes, obviously, but before someone takes it out of context, yeah, but I don't know, yo. That's just weird. This is gonna.
No.
This better not come bite me in the butt later on, guys. Please just know I was joking, please. Thank you.
No, but she was like, F you, Negro. I'm about myself. I'm not having no black baby. I'm gonna. You know what's funny? She could still be pregnant. Anyway, that's the crazy part.
I mean, I feel like they could tell by now, especially toward like the end of the court case. I feel like they could tell by then because
I
it was a
didn't
couple
think it
months
was.
that passed.
Was it?
Yeah, because I know at first I think the jury selection it was like a month after the jury selection that the case actually started, and then they met on like I think two or three other occasions to finish out the actual process. I
Okay,
think that's how
maybe.
courts. I think that's how courts work anyway. 'Cause, like if they come to a standstill on a certain day, they're not gonna make like a whole day's worth of effort out of it. They're gonna just push it to like another month, and I think that's what they still do to this day as well. Like if they can't find anything to move forward with, or like there's some witnesses aren't available, they'll wait until they can, so like it's properly scheduled. But I feel like if she was pregnant, she would have known by now. But big old booty butt. Why? Because I know in a part of the movie. Okay, I can't really get into this. I'm gonna try not to go down that deep end. But in the flashback, when she first started tripping about being pregnant, Joseph was like, "Don't worry, I was being careful." But I'm
Wait,
like,
did he?
yeah, he definitely said that. While she was being hysterical, he definitely said that. While she's trying to, Mom, this is where
Oh, I thought he said
right
like
before she
no,
scratched
no
him.
one's pregnant. That's what I
Yeah,
thought he said.
yeah, he did say that, but he also said, "Don't worry, I was being careful." And then this is when she like, she's trying to argue with her to stay in the car while he's already on the bridge. This is where she ran out the car and scratched him. So
Okay, so
I was like, that means y'all was definitely not because I know things. People have a hard time being careful today, so I don't know how you were being careful back then. But that's
well,
just
I can answer that. You know,
oh
I
god.
can.
I mean, that's not though.
I'm just saying,
you
certain
know what?
things, certain
Hey,
methods were
hey,
not invented.
yeah. That's very true. But you know what? Clearly he was because she wasn't pregnant because she did have found out by now. And Mr. Spruberman or whatever his name was, the husband, he would have had a hey freaking day. Because I know being a female back then also puts you at a disadvantage because you kind of like back then kind of like mostly depending on men to do things. So if you're so status kind of lies with your husband and then you're in this position, I kind of get why she would lie to.
No,
Like,
I
yeah,
get why she
I kind
lied,
of
but
don't
I
want
don't like it.
I kind of don't want to lose being rich. My husband kind of rich and important. Granted, he beats the shit out of me, and I screw his chauffeurs. But oh, let me stop.
Okay,
Shanique,
Michael has issues.
please move on, Shanique. Let me stop, yo.
No, I'm gonna let you dig that hole,
No, I'm done.
deeper.
I'm done. My whole it's gone too far. I'm already halfway through the earth, yo. I can't do it no more.
Man, you gotta go through the earth. What's wrong with
Nah,
you?
man. It's hot down. It's hot down here. Leave me alone.
Yo, this stopped being about Marshall and started being about something else. Alright,
That's a true statement. Listen, if you ain't used to tangents on this podcast by now, join the club. Now you know what you're getting yourself into.
basically. No, but what was I gonna say? Kate Hudson, I thought she did great.
Mm.
I have, like I said, I liked everyone who was cast in this movie. No issues. I think we actually covered the movie. One thing I would say about historical accuracy. Again, can't say it was historically accurate because I didn't like do the full research on it, so I'm not gonna co-sign. But if it was, good job. If it wasn't and it took liberties, still good job. It says
Hmm.
based on a true story for some reason.
We don't know how
Just
tightly based though. Right.
yeah, it doesn't have to be. Hollywood never does that. But for like movies like this, uh, I thought these I know that like a lot of people, especially in the black community, they don't like these type of movies too often because they want they want Black Hollywood to do other things. 'Cause, people hate on Tyler Perry. But, I still rep Medea all day, every day.
It's weird though, because like you got two camps of people like that. Like you got the ones who don't want these that much, and then you don't want the ones who don't want Medea that much, because one's not being serious enough, and one's being it's oddly enough
Coonerish.
from the
That's what people
yeah,
say.
it's,
They say it's Cooney.
right. I'm like that's backwards thinking, because people history has a habit of like rewriting itself, especially like in the future. In the textbook, it might say something different 100 years from now. So I'm like, nah, keep that stuff chill. Trying to forget. They're waiting for people to forget so they can start rewriting stuff. But I ain't about to get all political with it though. But I'm just saying, yo, they've
No,
done that before.
look, here's my thing. I agree, or I think Black history should always be on film. 100%
Mm-hmm.
agree. I think a lot of people just like, we don't want slave movies and we don't want, like, historical figure movies like Malcolm X and such like that. We want to be able to do other, like, thrillers and mysteries and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Have range, right?
Yeah, we're not fully there yet, I think, like, this might sound like we're going into another end, but I think that for Black Hollywood to get there, movies with an all black cast need to be stopped labeling black movies. That needs to stop, because I don't know what it is, but we gotta show up for our own movies because it gets that label, and it makes it seem like it's not just for black people. Everyone can see it. Girls Trip is a really good example of that. Which I wish we did a podcast on that, because I had so much to say about Tiffany. But she was Tiffany Haddish. She was good. I think her name in the movie was Dina, right? She was
Yeah.
really good though. But we, like, when you put that, like, title on there, it puts you in a box automatically. Same thing with, like,
Mm-hmm.
Bollywood movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you just release the movie and do that, but again, that's another language. That's an extreme example. But a lot of movies, if it's not an all white cast, gets put into a category of, like, a black movie, a Spanish movie, a Latin movie, stuff like that. And once that stops happening, I think you can show range. But I think Black Hollywood's been coming up. We have our first superhero movie, full on superhero
I mean,
movie.
okay, all right. 'Cause I'm about to say like I know technically Blade was a superhero movie, but Blade isn't a superhero, so I can't really like throw him in there though.
Well, I mean, we had Spawn, but that was years ago. And then that horrible Catwoman movie. And again,
AD,
that was not mostly a black cast anyway.
that just Halle Berry pretty much.
Yeah, but
ADC, if you want to do a real good black movie, we still waiting on Static Shock to come back. Just saying.
hey, we first of all,
I will be in line for Static Shock. Yo. I will pre-order the hell out of them tickets.
we got Black Lightning on the CW, which
I
I
want
think.
no. I'm talking. I mean, TV shows is bad, not too. I'm talking about the movies. I want like a Static Shock movie, yo. Make some multi-millions off of Static Shock, because y'all sleeping on him. I'm glad like he had like a little. You know what? I'm going on a tangent, but I'm glad that he had like a little showing on Young Justice, and I hope he comes back for the next season, season 3. Hopefully, we can even get to do that one. To be honest, but that's like a long-term project. But like for real, yo, Marvel's doing their fair share, yo. Catch up, DC. Catch up.
Okay, Marvel did like one movie. Let's not say fair share.
That's
Okay.
that's the, hey, listen. 'Cause my thing is, it's not like it's gonna be like an oversaturation, and that, and considering it's not like they can just pop up with all their black characters at the same time, which I get. Cause like this is the first one literally since Blade. Cause there's not that many black superheroes that they can really expose in their own movies. 'Cause, like I know Storm is a big black well-known African American. Sorry, she's essentially African. She's a well-known African character in Marvel, but like they're not going to use her as a property to use her own movie. They can, and it would be a good idea in my opinion. But at the end of the day, she's an X-Men, which is why I get like a lot of the black characters can't do that. But like lead characters of their own stories, like Static Shock, Black Panther, and some other ones, they'd be good. Like we're not going to see like a War Machine movie no time soon because he's a supporting character. But like the leads definitely milk that. DC definitely waiting on freaking heck. We can even get a Vixen movie. I know y'all did like a weird mini series on her. Get her Static Shock on the screen, yo. That's just Michael ranting though. Go ahead, Shanique. I'm done here.
Okay, but I'm saying we have Black Panther, and that's like our first, like, big budget superhero movie, and
Hmm.
that's great. I
Hmm.
hope it's as good as it looks. And I'm harder on Marvel movies than Michael is though, as you guys have listened from like probably the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I was not impressed too much with that movie. But I have hope for Thor Ragnarok, and I have hope for Black Panther. I have hope for Justice League too. I hope all of them do well, cause we have the appearance of Cyborg,
That's true. I almost forgot to say that. You're right.
so it'd be interesting on how they do Cyborg as an adult. Cause I'm used to Teen Titan, not that Teen Titan Go shit, but Teen Titan
What's
Cyborg,
what
the
what
original one.
what's weird is when he debuted on the Justice League. I guess they like rewrote him at some point in time to make him a teenager for whatever reason. Because he originally appeared as an adult in the Justice League, but he was the youngest adult, obviously, but an adult nonetheless. But it's weird though. I like where you're going with that because it's I am curious to see this whole new cyborg that they're giving us now. Victor Stone.
Yeah,
I always forget his real name sometimes.
yeah, he just Cyborg to me. But I'm glad to see where black movies are going. I think Chad is doing a really good job. I was joking with my sister. He's playing another historical black figure that he don't look like. The closest was Jackie Robinson because he don't look like James Brown. He was good in 42. He was good in Get Up, and he was good in this one. But he don't look like none of them. Not one. But he was the right person to play them.
Yeah, I guess they're definitely going more for character than for actual appearance. So,
Yeah, because Thurgood Marshall was light skinned. That dude was light skinned.
well, it's I mean, I don't want to say he was light skinned, but he was lighter, but he was also bigger. Like he had another movie before played by Lawrence Fishburne. And I feel like he did a way better job of looking like Thurgood than Chadwick did. But I'm not going to knock him for that though, because that's just a casting
Okay,
thing. 'Cause I feel like he carried the character very well, regardless.
okay. So, also, I want to talk about one scene and then we're going to close out this podcast. But the scene where they're in. So, the woman finds out she's pregnant. You know what she do? She hit the bar, right? and, and at that bar, you know what they meet? I think it was supposed to be Billie Holiday that was singing at that bar. And
Oh,
then
really?
I think it was actually supposed to be Billie Holiday. And that's
Okay.
the woman that was singing, she sings that song Rise Up. Amazing
Mm-hmm.
voice. And he's having a cocktail with Langston Hughes, um, Duke Ellington, and what is it, Zora Nielsen? I forgot how to say her name, but she's important too. And the
Right.
girl,
She walked in there toward the end, right?
yeah, yeah, and there was one more girl who was in there that was really important. But Zora was played by Chili from TLC. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I heard her voice.
I
I was like, "That's Chili," and I saw the face. And I was like, "Oh, that's Chili." But
I,
I'm
I just
like,
learned something.
I didn't know Thurgood knew all of these historically like famous black people. That's so crazy that
He
he
had the
knew all.
connection, yo.
Yo, he did. He knew from the writers to the singers, man. And he was hating on Langston Hughes. He was like, I'd rather you do other things with your time instead of write poetry. But
He said, "I'm over in Italy fighting the war." No, you writing about fighting the war.
ooh, taking
He was
shots.
definitely being shady towards him in that bar, yo.
And it's so crazy that to think that Thurgood Marshall was shading Langston Hughes, man.
Right.
These are not like small town people. They're like really like big figures in our history. And it's kind of crazy that they were just chatting, just shading each other.
Like no matter how big of a historical black figure you are, you can still be shady. Apparently.
I just wanted to talk about the scene. I thought that was actually cool. I don't know if that
Yeah.
actually happened, but I just wanted to talk about it. And we're gonna close out the podcast. I think
Sure
we
thing.
went on a tangent enough, but we did talk about the movie. Overall, I would say, guys, go see it. I think you're gonna either learn something and you're gonna enjoy the performances. And I
I. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and I also think that even if it's predictable, you're gonna get wrapped up into the mystery. I mean, not the mystery, the movie itself.
Hmm.
Your turn.
I would agree. I feel like if you're also not exposed to them, I'm not gonna say like you just as a textbook or nothing like that, but it's a good movie to see how their characters were actually, played out in the movie versus what actually happened in real life. Like drawing that little parallel is pretty cool. And I feel like everyone in this, if you even look for good acting, this is also a good place to find it, especially if you're like a history buff. So yeah, definitely go check it out if you haven't seen it.
All right, so guys, do you want to tell them where they can find us, or you want me to take over? I do this just to troll. Anyway.
I'm about to say, you know better.
All right. Guys, you can email us at echoundergroundpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, iTunes, Castbot, any other podcasting apps
Stitcher, Podbean, everywhere.
as Echo Underground Podcast. But we're on Twitter as Echo U Podcast. And all these sites, and you can follow us, leave comments, subscribe if it's iTunes, and I know it's follow on Twitter and SoundCloud. But we just wanna hear from you guys. We wanna know what you think. Do you like this movie? Did you think it was too predictable? Do you agree with me that it was still a good movie even though you predicted? Or you're like Mike, woo, hey, we wanna know if you like the movie. We wanna know if you like, what do you think about some of the topics we talked about Black Hollywood or anything? We want to know what you guys think about our opinions, and we want to hear your opinions on the movies. Maybe you point out something that we didn't notice, like I point out that Chili was in the movie. Michael didn't notice, and
Sure didn't.
he really did not. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
See ya.